This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
It's 6:08 at WPSL 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast. And you're on Small Biz Florida with Tom Kindred.
Thank you, sir, and welcome to another segment and installment of Small Biz Florida, brought to you by the Florida Small Business Development Center here at Indian River State College. Small Biz Florida is designed and produced to create awareness for the business assistance and support programs available right here at IRSC through the Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute and the Florida SBDC network. We will spend time during our hour together this evening to highlight entrepreneurial success, best practices, and discuss all things business around the Treasure Coast and the state of Florida. I am Tom Kindred, and I serve as the Regional Director for the Florida SBDC at IRSC. Underwriters for this segment of Small Biz Florida are the Florida SBDC at Indian River State College and our good friends at Express Printing of Port St. Lucie. So, Greg, how are you this evening?
Doing well.
What is happening with our Pioneers? Are we still
we may
on a roll?
we may be dancing postseason with both the men and the women's team.
Wow.
Yeah, the ladies upset Miami-Dade last night, 90-87. And, they may have just punched their ticket into postseason.
And you've always say Miami-Dade's a pretty tough...
They're a national power.
Wow.
Yeah, they I'll tell you, Coach Robinson's done a great job, and Charlie, we just keep winning. So, yeah,
well,
it's
that's
been
excellent.
great. Yeah, we have just 2 more home games. That's it.
Uh-oh.
Season's over.
When are they? I gotta make my last 2 home games.
Next Wednesday and the following Wednesday, and that's it.
Okay, so the next 2 Wednesdays we've got home games right on main campus.
Yep.
Men's and women's basketball.
Yeah.
As I tell our listeners all the time, I mean, it really is a lot of fun. IRSC basketball games are just a lot of fun. Great opportunity to see college athletics right here in our own hometown, right there on main campus, easy to get to, and there's never usually any charge to come out and watch the Pioneers play.
They had the Paint the River pink last night. Beautiful new pink uniforms. Thank you very much, Nike.
Wow.
They're very nice. And, the ladies look great and raised some money for breast cancer, and it was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. All right. So 2 home games left next Wednesday and the Wednesday after that. Take the opportunity to come out and see the Pioneers, your local Pioneers. Again, I want to always remind everybody the latest edition of Treasure Coast Business is out on the streets and in the business suites. It is out there. Great issue of the magazine. That is our 3rd issue of the new Treasure Coast Business magazine, getting a lot of good reviews from the business community on the publication. A very interesting article in this issue about the Pomgamia tree.
Gesundheit.
Yes.
The what?
The Pomgamia tree. It is could be a replacement for citrus. So very exciting, great article. You need to pick it up and take a look at the latest issue of Treasure Coast Business. We did a little spread in the magazine about some local inventors, innovators, and entrepreneurs. Really, kind of a standout group of folks doing some really building and producing and starting some very innovative businesses around our area. So, lots of folks kind of associate entrepreneurship and innovation with the big university towns and California and Silicon Valley, or at least the big city. But there's a lot going on in our region right here, in some garages and some warehouses right here in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation. So check out the latest edition of Treasure Coast Business. You ought to be able to find it someplace, and if not, you can always call me, and Tom will deliver. I will hand deliver you an issue of Treasure Coast Business.
So for all of you listening in Hawaii or possibly Australia, Tom will deliver it.
Yes.
And of course, the college will pay the tab.
Sure they
Yeah.
will. I will check in with Dr. Massey's office and see if he will cover
You're
that.
right. One-way ticket.
That's right. Got two standout guests tonight. I can't wait for the show tonight. Can't wait for the conversation tonight. Got a young lady here, Dr. Rochelle Tatro.
Yes, that is correct.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thank you for
Dr.
having
Tatro.
me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Dr. Tatro is a healthcare professional plus entrepreneur. She has created and started and launched a business called Holistic Health on the Go, very unique model. And Dr. Tatro just completed the Business Acceleration Program down in the city of Port St. Lucie. So very interesting and intriguing business. So can't wait for the conversation to tell us about your business and your experiences with the BAP program. And we've also got with us tonight my very good friend. We go way back. Well, sort of way back. Not a stranger to our community. We've got Miss Maureen Saltzer with us tonight. Maureen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom.
I honestly can't believe it's been you've been on the show at least 3 or 4 times, right, Maureen?
Well, with different subjects.
Have
yeah.
you really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. I said I can't believe this is your first visit, so I'm glad you have been on a couple times, Maureen. Maureen is the former publisher of our. I guess at the time you were the publisher, it was called the News Tribune.
Well, the Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie Tribune.
The Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie Tribune. Maureen was the publisher of our paper, and I long for those good old days, Maureen.
Thank you, Tom.
When you were the publisher of the paper.
Me too.
She still is the publisher.
She is the
Now
publisher.
she's nowhere.
That's right. She is now Maureen, and only as Maureen could do. Maureen is with a very cutting edge, new, and innovative, media channel now. She is the bureau chief of an organization called Nowhere Treasure Coast, and that is Nowhere with a K. And I can't wait to talk about this new publication
cool.
that you're associated with. So let me just quickly cover a couple of things coming up in terms of business training and support going on out there. We've got on February the 10th, I believe we have a class that yours truly is teaching. It is called Mastering Your Startup. And I am just the person to teach the class, not because I am a business genius, but because I've made an awful lot of mistakes in business, and you can learn from those. So
A 600-page textbook on what not to do.
Yes, we're right at about 599 pages of what not to do. So you can learn an awful lot from me, but join me for this 6-week course designed to help you take your idea to the market, build a business plan, learn about the market and competition, understand financials. So it's a good class. If you're looking to start a business, it's a good place to kind of figure out if you really want to do that. So that is starting. I will be launching that class on February the 10th. It is from 5:30 to 8:30.
So that's a Monday.
That's a Monday.
No Monday Night Football. So perfect.
Ooh,
See? Good deal.
I got to look at the schedule there. We have another a great program that helps those that are kind of looking to start a business. We call them Start Smart Orientations. If you're thinking about starting your own business, as any seasoned entrepreneur will tell you, starting a business is not always easy. From testing the market to accessing capital, there are many roadblocks you may encounter along the way. The Florida SBDC Smart Start Workshop is designed to provide you with fundamental overview of what it takes to start a business in the state of Florida. It really is a great opportunity for those to come out. It's just a one-night orientation, but it's a pretty robust offering of information in that night. And it, again, will give you a great overview of what it takes to start a business, and we can talk about your ideas that evening. That's going to be on February the 13th down at our Chastain campus in Stewart from 5:30 to 7:30, and then I'll be running one on February the 19th from 5:30 to 7:30 here at the St. Lucie West campus Pruitt campus down in St. Lucie West, and both of those are obviously no charge for those classes. And something that we've talked about an awful lot with our good friend Bob O'Brien, he's starting a new certified personal trainer class. This is a blended course. Part of it's online, part of it is live. But it's for those of you who are into personal fitness and would like to get your certification as a personal trainer, and again, opportunity to be an entrepreneur and start your own business. It really is an incredible class. It is the WITS Certified Personal Training, and that will start on February the 15th, and it runs through March the 14th. So good class. Again, you can always learn more about what's going on in terms of business training and the CCTI and all the business training that they've got going on, social media classes, Excel classes, QuickBook classes, all kinds of stuff going on. You can always visit that www.irscbiz.com site, and if you click on that events calendar icon, all of those classes come up right there. You can see all that's going on for the whole year. So check it out. So with that, I can't wait for our conversation. Dr. Tatro,
Yes.
welcome
Tom.
again to the show.
Thank you again. I'm excited to be here.
Well, good. Give us a little background on you, kind of pathway to holistic health on the go.
Yes. Well, let's see. Let's start about 25 years ago when I first went into treating pulmonary patients. I do respiratory therapy, and I've worked alongside pulmonologists and intensivists at the hospitals, everything from neonatal newborn care to geriatrics to emergency care. Well, and then if you back that up just a few years ago, I had a colleague that was telling me about this great doctoral program, the first one to be available on the East Coast for Eastern medicine. And it seemed almost too good to be true. And I checked out the curriculum, got very excited, and decided, hey, this is for me. I've always had an interest in natural healing and how the body is able to balance itself if you know how to eat the right foods. And I do use herbs and acupuncture for this as well. So from there, I got my doctoral, became nationally board certified, and here I am today. Holistic Health on the Go started out as a mobile business, but now I treat office clients.
Wow. So it started out as a mobile business, so you actually went to people's homes and offices and either provided
Yes.
them. Did you do the acupuncture? That was also part of it?
In the very beginning, I actually brought my acupuncture table and went house to house and actually treated clients. And from there, I decided, I really need to be set up in an office location, and hence the name On the Go. My son thought that was a clever way of getting the word out that I was mobile, Holistic Health on the Go. And I believe Holistic Health was already chosen anyway, so I added that to my name. And I have a great passion for what I do, and at this point, I'm not so much on the go, but I do treat many various illnesses.
So again, talk to us. It's not just acupuncture at Holistic Health on the Go. You also have, herbs, and you use those in the treatment of certain conditions. Talk to us about the offering that you have, at Holistic Health.
Well, with Eastern medicine, the whole go of the treatment is to treat the root cause. And I always kind of look at it like a gardener who is taking care of the weeds. That is more like the symptomatic part of the disease, which Western medicine can treat pretty well with the symptoms. But with Eastern medicine, we take it a couple steps further. We do the corrective part where we're actually treating the root of the cause itself. And then from there, we actually treat the prophylactic and prevent it from becoming an issue further down the road. So then we do more preventative care by nurturing the soil and fertilizing the garden. So with herbs and acupuncture, it is the best way to actually treat the body with a chronic issue. As opposed to just an acute issue, we can usually just treat with acupuncture.
Is acupuncture and and holistic health and the Eastern medicine philosophy? Is it something that it's not a kind of, you don't come in one time? I mean, is this something that a person, this is kind of a lifestyle for them? Is that a fair statement? Is that it's an ongoing process, your type of medicine?
I would definitely recommend it as a preventative because there's so many things we can prevent by keeping the body in balance. Typically the second part, which is the corrective part, the nature, once we get the symptoms under control, the corrective part can take about 2 to 6 months. If it's a chronic history, the patient has suffered, several years, that could take 2 to 6 months. The preventative care, you may only need to see me quarterly or once a year. It really is very individualized medicine. So it is based on the history of the patient and their constitution and genetics. I mean, there's so much that goes into play, but it is very customized. And so I would say yes, you are typically going to see me more than once, although I do have sciatica patients. I treat once or twice and that's it. But normally for a chronic issue, yes.
A big issue that's pretty common out there are migraines, and I've heard in the past that some folks have had some success in treating migraines with acupuncture. What's the story on that?
Migraines, unfortunately, are very common, and there's many causes for the migraines. So with Eastern medicine, we do a full assessment, which does include some pulse taking and also we actually look at the tongue, and we ask a lot of questions. And with this full assessment, we can see what the root pattern cause is. And from there, we would treat it individualized, because it could be a blood deficiency, it could be more stress related. I mean, there's just so many causatic factors there. But yes, I definitely treat a lot of migraine patients, and it does vary on the causes.
Now, you actually came from somewhat of what we might refer to as traditional healthcare. You were a pulmonary specialist and actually worked in a hospital and did treatments and again did kind of your practice doing that kind of. At some point, you said, there's a better way to treat some of these things before a patient lets them get to the point where they've got to come in for those kind of healthcare treatments. Is that kind of what led you to look at alternative medicine?
Absolutely, because unfortunately, Western medicine has its limitations. I mean, it's wonderful during emergency and some surgeries that are necessary, but when you're looking at really treating and balancing the body as a whole, you really need to treat the root cause, and whether it needs nourishment or there's excesses in the body that we have to take care of, we have to treat it. And by treating it correctly, you're going to balance the body as a whole and not just as one part. You're actually what we call treat the root cause. So yes, after years of working in the hospital, I see the patients coming back and their symptoms being treated, but they're not actually getting the true need met, which allowed me to really search for a better way of helping patients by Eastern medicine.
Do you see a shift out there in the market where folks are taking more seriously a healthier lifestyle? I know, my 2 children, I don't know where they got it from, didn't get it from me. I was kind of a...
Must be your wife.
Yeah, must be my wife. I'm kind of a pizza chicken wing guy.
Okay.
But my children are very, healthy, eaters and all about a healthy lifestyle and so do you see that kind of shift? Do you see folks really kind of now taking a little more seriously this healthy lifestyle?
Yes, I definitely see people becoming more just aware that we have to really take hold of our health, and we can't just depend on, taking medications, and because, we're seeing just in total, the Americans, how they're suffering from obesity or just chronic pain issues or autoimmune diseases. A lot of it is brought on by diet, but a lot of it is stress. And, just finding the balance, your balance to your work, your life, your personal life, and just overall health.
So, kind of the market shift, is that kind of what maybe led you to say, you know what, maybe the timing's right. Let's take my passion and my interest of Eastern medicine and let's turn this into a venture. Is that kind of what maybe led you to start the business?
I definitely know the passion always existed. I mean, from a young age, I remember going out in Kentucky in the woods and finding sassafras roots and making tea out of it. I mean, there was always that passion in me on natural healing and how the body can recover. And so I do believe that was there, but definitely I was probably also going through a midlife crisis. That could have had something to do with it because I needed a change. There was definitely a
Maybe that's what
doldrum
I'm
in the
going
hospital.
through. Does acupuncture work on midlife crises?
Well, we can definitely balance you either way. So I think it would.
I don't know.
It wouldn't hurt.
A new Corvette, maybe. Oh.
So let's talk about the business. Is it all that you wanted it to be? Is it tougher than you expected it to be? Kind of talk about leaving leaving the hospital and venturing out into entrepreneurship.
Yes. Well, what you don't think about when you're, going towards your dream and your passion and helping others is you don't think about all the business entrepreneur part of it, which I have to say the BAT classes were amazing and they really have helped me find a pathway to the business and to which direction I want to take it to and a new level. And it makes you really plan ahead, which I love. So many great resources available to entrepreneurs. And I know for me, it was definitely a rude awakening, realizing, hey, the marketing aspect of it, the financial aspect, there's just so many things you don't think about when you're finishing your doctoral and you're working on your thesis. You don't even think that far down the road about how am I going to bring the patients in and do my workshops and educate to let people know, what is available out there.
All right. Talk just a minute about the BAT program itself. How did you learn about the BAT program and kind of what was a high point for you in the BAT program? BAT obviously is our business accelerator program that we partner CCTI and the SBDC and the city of Port St. Lucie partner to bring that program.
Well, to be honest, I did receive an email because I'm registered with the city, so I believe that is how I was on their email list. So I received an email for these business entrepreneur classes, not realizing how many great resources were actually out there, and they're free. And you guys cover so many aspects of business. I mean, it's amazing, from the financial advising to the QuickBooks to, just certain tips on how to handle certain clients. And it's everything. So I was very happy, and that's how I found out. And I took those classes, and I'm still keeping in touch and following up on leads.
And there was I think there was a little grant program at the end of the program where you actually could pitch your business and talk about some of maybe the needs in the business, and you were able to get a little grant from the city.
Yes, and I will be honest, I was not expecting that to be part of it. So that was a sweet surprise, and that was very nice to be able to apply for the grant.
How does someone find out about holistic health? Where can they go to find the phone number, find the website, and make an appointment?
Well, good question. My main number is 772-626-6419, and you can call me directly, and texting is great because I can always text between clients. Also, my website, holistichealthonthego@gmail.com. You can also book an appointment through that site and email me, contact me. But I would love to hear from you. And if you just want to call and have a question, that's fine too.
Okay. And you have a biography coming out in the spring. Just kind of tell us what's going on with that.
I do. St. Lucie Magazine is doing a biography, and it's not just from the business aspect. It's actually my personal life, my background, my education. So it covers a great deal of personal information. I'm also going to be offering Tai Chi classes the third Friday of each month, so I think they're discussing that, and they're at the Himalayan Salt Room and on University Drive. And it just kind of my future prospects and my family and, Yeah. Very nice.
Dr. Tatro, Rochelle Tatro, thank you very much. Don't leave. You never know, we might have a question. In fact, Maureen may want to do a story on you or something.
Thank you, Tom.
I think she's writing right now.
Maureen, the journalist, is already over there writing. Yes. Again, welcome to the show, Maureen. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us. I am again very excited to talk to you about this launch of this very innovative media platform. Maureen, you've had an incredible career in journalism and publishing. And we met many years ago, and I can't say enough about all the great things you did for our community and the support you gave us. But just give us just a little bit of the pathway back into journalism here.
Okay. Well, as you know, when Scripps purchased the Tribune, which was owned by Freedom Communications at that time, my job kind of went away. So I went with Freedom to several other locations. Ultimately, I left Freedom, and I had extremely poor timing, went to Knight Ridder kind of right before it blew apart. And
I know all about timing, Maureen. Yeah. I know.
So, when my family and I, when we talked about where we were happiest, it was really here. So we decided to come back here. At that point, there was really no opportunities in newspapers because they were, continuing to just decline and get smaller and smaller. So I went into the typical thing that you would do, marketing, public relations, public advocacy, that kind of thing. Did that for a few years. I won't say how many.
Right.
A few's enough.
A few's enough. And then I got this remarkable opportunity to join Nowhere News. And I really was thrilled about it. And so I signed up. I started at the beginning of January, went out to San Francisco for a week to learn some of the systems, came back and started editing the Treasure Coast Brief online email newsletter.
I love it. I love it. Tell us a little bit about Nowhere. What is it?
Okay. Well, Nowhere News that's with a K, so you have Nowhere, right?
Right.
They started. There are three founders. They have been to they're technical. They're finance people, but their parents or grandparents were in journalism. So they grow up with that kind of journalistic ethic of how important the news is, particularly to a democracy, for instance. As I don't know how they got together, but they decided to form this company as they looked at what was happening on the news landscape in terms of fewer news and then more fractured news. And they wanted to provide a platform that would give unbiased, straight facts that people could rely on. So about 18 months ago, they began publishing Nowhere News in their national email newsletter. And that contains about 10 stories each day, where they use some automated intelligence and machine learning to discover what the most important stories of the day are, to kind of digest them. Then they have a human obviously get involved and edit that because they want to just put out the straight facts. But then among that, for many of the stories, they'll give you what the left spin is and the right spin is, so that you can read it all if you want and make your own mind up, which I think is always the best plan for journalism. So they've been doing that when it occurred to them that another risk to our democracy is the disappearance of local news. Because, of course, we don't just vote for the president, we vote for the city council. And if you don't have a way that you can find out what's going on in the government, in the schools, in the courts, you're really at a disadvantage. And so they were watching kind of this disappearance of local news sources and the shrinking that we've seen here, certainly. And so they through their technology, did an analysis of the country. They were looking for news deserts of a certain size so that they would have enough kind of to work with. And they decided to do a pilot project on local news. They came out here, they talked to a bunch of people. The Wyatts here at WPSL were some of those people. And decided to start their pilot project for the entire country right here.
Wow. Is this, we use the term collisions in entrepreneurship. Is this kind of a collision of technology and and traditional journalism? Is this kind of a
Yes, very much so. And also trying to find a way to make it less expensive to put out a quality news product. Because obviously part of the problem with shrinking news is shrinking budgets. So they're hoping that technology will aid the reporters in being able to do smarter, better, quicker work.
What it's obvious that money had something to do with the disappearance of this local news, but what were the factors? Why are local papers? Because did they just lose subscribers, or advertisers still were looking for places to run ads? I mean, what really was the kind of the root cause of seeing the disappearance of local newspapers?
Well, I have my opinions, and at the time I remember kind of fighting and being told, no, which was not to put all of our content out online free. That decision that was made early on with the web was not a good decision. And of course, you're seeing people back off on that now, but kind of the genie's out of the bottle.
Say that again. You didn't want they didn't want to put it out all online for free.
They did. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was against that.
I was
Okay.
kind of
So-
kicking and screaming.
And rightfully
Right.
so.
So they
Yeah,
wanted
right.
so the owners of the newspaper wanted all that online.
Right, it was they wanted to be with new technology and
Right, right,
with cutting
okay.
edge and all that. So that was part of it, but a big part of it was the loss of classified ads. With Craigslist and you kind of whatever, because classified ads were the economic engine of the newspaper. When you have all of these tiny little ads that added up to a lot of money that you didn't need to have offsetting news for. So they provided a lot of the different finance. And then what happened is a lot of bad things happened to retail. So as retailers merged and shrunk, then you lost that kind of your Macy's advertising and that
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
And then your Publix too. I mean, you could always find the coupons in the Sunday paper. Well, then Publix started putting the coupons in the store. So there's no need for a Sunday paper. It just kept going
Spiraling
on,
out,
on,
yeah.
yeah.
What is what's the kind of the financial model of a Nowhere News? Can you buy ads? Are you selling banners on the, what's the financial model?
Well, right now what we're working to do is to get the journalistic part right, okay? And we'll figure out the monetization part down the road. And we have the luxury of being able to do that because of the technology behind this. We have some venture capital. They have the same goals and mission as the organization to make sure that news coverage remains, and also to find ways to do it that is less expensive to operate.
So are you? This is you're kind of the you are the one out on the front, and you're going to create a bureau here, are you not?
I am.
And
She
what
is
does-
the bureau.
Well, but I think you're
No.
gonna bring some folks in, talk them. How
I have one reporter right now, Marcus Lim, and he's been working really hard. He's a lot of people have seen
He's
him
a good
around
one.
town. Yeah,
He's a good one.
Yeah, very energetic and.
Now, was
and
he? Is he like
engaged.
from the old days of the Tribune or something?
No,
or,
he's actually he's young.
yeah?
He was working with the AP in Miami and was hired even before I was hired. He came up here.
Okay.
So he's on board. I'm looking for another general news reporter. So if you know of anybody, let me know. I would like someone with some experience, and I particularly would like someone with some experience in this market. Perhaps Indian River County would be great. I have a ton of contacts in St. Lucie and in Martin County, but not quite as many in Indian River. So it'd be great to have a reporter who's got that.
You know what I miss, seriously? Are like council and county commission reports.
Well, I
You know,
just started.
you
That was one of
always
the things.
count on that.
Yeah, is that something we're going to go back to? Are there going to be reporters in the county and city commission meetings? Is that?
There'll be reporters. I mean, part of what this technology is they can bring those meetings to us.
Right.
So that of course they're already online, but I mean in ways that are easier to work with. We'll have fewer people, but we're definitely, that is the goal, is to hold government accountable for what they should be held accountable for. And also my goal, as it's always been as a journalist, is to tell the good stories too.
Right. That was always kind of the issue, but back in when I was with Main Street and back in the mid to late 80s, was that there was always that folks kind of blamed the newspaper for covering all the bad news and never telling the good stories. But
Well, that's how I ended up in Fort Pierce, is
Right.
because that's what the newspaper was doing.
right,
And our corporation didn't care for that.
right.
So.
What type of stories, beyond the government stories? What type of stories is Nowhere News going to cover?
Well, we're going to cover your typical, news in terms of, crime and justice, the very unfortunate event that just occurred with our Florida Highway Patrol trooper. We're going to cover that typical thing that you would expect to see in the news. But we're also going to cover organizations that are doing good in the community. For instance, Marcus went out to La Jolla, and they are a new organization that helps the homeless. And one of the things that they're doing is they're doing a cooking class and a serving class for homeless people so that they can get job skills. And so they do this class and they invite the public every Friday to a lunch. So that the public can see what's going on. And so he went out there and had the lunch and talked to them, and we did a big story about that. I did a story, about what's coming up this weekend at Arts Fest, for instance, in Martin County. And then I just did a story yesterday on what's going on at the port.
Nice.
So.
What's the publishing cycle? Is it like a traditional everyday issue?
Monday through Friday, except for holidays. And it will appear in your mailbox at 5 a.m. every weekday for free.
My email
No
box
cost.
or my actual mailbox?
Your email box.
My email box,
Yeah.
okay.
The one that everybody uses now.
Yeah, no cost. Just he's writing
right.
that down. I
Right.
noticed.
It will appear in your email free at 5 a.m. All you need to do is sign up for it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What's the reach? I mean, are you you're the Treasure Coast? You're kind of just four
The three
four
counties.
county-
The
three
three counties, yeah. We haven't
Three
gotten
counties?
into Okeechobee. So Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin.
What about? Are you looking for those? Local associations and agencies to kind of help you provide content. If they've got story ideas, would you like them to talk to you about that?
Yes, and send press releases. Be happy to have them. They can send them to Treasure Coast at nowherenews.com.
I guess what about how does someone sign up for it? I mean, is it?
It's very, very easy.
Yeah.
You don't have to give us your firstborn. You don't have to give us a credit card number. You just go to www.t as in treasure, c as in coast, brief.com. It'll ask you for your email address. That's it.
All right.
And
then what about how long's the pilot going to run and where do you see this thing going? The hope is it works and you take it to other marketplaces or
yes,
or
they're
what?
already looking at other marketplaces right now. I mean, so this is, we're kind of the guinea pigs, which is great. I love that. So, and then, for the things, we'll find out the things that work, the things that don't work. This is something I'm going to build over time. I mean, I'm still looking for that second reporter. I'm looking for some stringers. So it will just kind of get better over time. We just started out. We just started in mid-November.
Right. What about, are there others that have tried this format, this model? Is there competition out there doing, I mean, essentially you're kind of an online newsletter or you're more than that? Is that you're kind of more, you're an online paper is really what is that?
Yeah, I mean, we're putting out between 8 to 10 stories a day. So over the course of 5 days, that's 40 to 50 local news stories, which is a lot more than I think you're seeing in some of your print publications right now.
I mean, that's a lot of content.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone tried this in other markets? But is there any competition out there in the world on all this?
There are people that do newsletters. They're more typically thematic. Like, for instance, there's a bunch that come out of Tallahassee that'll tell you what's going on with Tallahassee. I think Nancy Smith did the Sunshine State News for a while. So there's a lot of those, but they tend to be more themed versus local news.
That's all political stuff,
Yeah.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. But there are other ones.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And of course, I always in our space in the business space, I always tell the old story about growing up as a kid here, the paper, we actually had a business section of the paper. And
I remember that.
Yeah, am I correct? And I always talk about Joe Shabo. Joe, I think, was the business editor. And I said, the paper, that went away. And then we had, a business journal for some time. That went away. We had the Progress and Innovation,
which I edited for 5 years.
You were editor of that.
Yeah.
That went away. Yeah. Which is why we, kind of finally I was able to pitch the idea and get some traction with the Treasure Coast Business Magazine. So my point in all that is, obviously you'll cover some business stories too.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, mostly I'm the editor, but my forte really is business. So I've been doing some of the business stories. I spent a lot of time over the last several years working with the Economic Development Council of St. Lucie County. So I pretty much understand what's going on in business in the 3-county area.
Yeah, what have you since you? How long have you been with it so far? I think you may have told us.
I started at the beginning of January.
Yeah. What has the reaction been from those, like the EDO directors, the Helene's, the Peter, and the
It's been great.
Joan.
They've been very, very appreciative. I attended, for instance, the EDC's annual luncheon, and then I was able to report on what occurred and all the great things that they've been doing. And that's what makes me the happiest, is to be able to tell some of the good news stories, which are definitely getting lost. So
how do you gauge readership? Do you it's a technical thing? You're getting clicks. Is it like a website? So you judge things by click and click throughs and.
Well, I mean, it's a newsletter, so we know how many we're sending out. I mean, we started with 0 mid-November. We have more than 5,000 right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's going well.
And all 5,000 were just generated from. Like your old contact list, or what?
No, I haven't had a chance to dive into that, but I do have a very large one of those.
Right.
And if you know me, you're probably going to get an email from me.
I do believe I'm already receiving nowhere news.
But they do some Facebook ads, and I mean, just generally, there's word of mouth. There's ways you can share it when you get the newsletter. There's ways you can share it when you go to sign up. You can add some of your friends, and they'll get an invitation to read it. And they won't have to give their credit card number or their firstborn either. So,
so you know how many you're sending out,
and we know how many. For instance, if I do a story, it's only going to have about maybe 4, maybe 5 paragraphs that appear in the newsletter, just so it doesn't get too crowded.
So you've got to hit that button.
You have to click through to read the rest. So we measure that. You measure obviously how many people open it. You can tell all of that stuff from the technical point of view, which I'm not a master of.
Right.
So.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
And of course you've got so much, especially with Director coming in.
Yes.
To Fort Pierce. I mean, there is just so much happening.
Yeah, I just was at I'm actually, we were at a strategic planning session this morning with the EDC and the mayor of the city of Port St. Lucie spoke, and I mean he was charged up this morning talking about all that is going on, the positive things, and I mean kind of look at the turnaround now of the of all the high tech and the biotech that's going on at Tradition. There was some sad days where you thought, wonder what's going to happen down there, but it's all really come back. And I think, all that economic growth and things that are happening, I think just fuels a project like yours, Maureen.
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely. And telling those stories.
Right. Because we really, at this, in our current situation in our community, I guess there still is a paper.
Yes,
I
there
think
is.
There's still a paper. And it is, it's a Gannett.
Gannett.
Right. How much local content do you see in that paper, or is it mostly wire stories, kind of national stories? I mean, not a whole lot of local in there.
I think I'm going to take a pass on any comment on that.
So again,
Well, and Gannett is being taken over too by an investment firm. So it's It's crazy.
Well,
It
good.
is.
So again, Maureen, incredible, innovative. It's no surprise that you're associated with the folks, and because again, with your history in journalism, I really can't wait to see how this thing does, and you're one of multiple pilots, or we are the only.
We
pilot?
are at the one and only right now, but we won't be the only one shortly.
Okay.
Maureen, it's funny. I remember back when I was in Los Angeles, and the old LA Times guys used to sit there. Well, you guys in television are just the hamburger. We're the steak. Well, I'll tell you, I miss a steak now. I'm serious. It is. You look around the country, and it is just not good. So the door's open for you. I mean,
We have to find different ways to get the news out.
Yes,
because it's
you
really
do.
important.
You do. You have to.
Yeah, I never thought about it until we kind of started talking tonight. But I guess when you use the word, I think news desert, is that the word?
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess honestly, I guess that's a reality. There are probably some places that if they're not being served by a local paper, the consumer really has to make the effort to then go find the news. Well, I guess they watch TV, but other than TV, there is no real local perspective. And then you brought up the point too about local elections. There used to be, I had a little experience with that. I mean, the paper makes recommendations, and the paper interviews candidates, and all that information was kind of distributed through the paper. And you're right. If there's no paper, where are you even learning about a local candidate?
Or if the paper's not doing it anymore.
Right. Because the paper would do profiles on candidates and talk about their experience and kind of their platforms and what they stood for. Wow.
What happens if the editorial board is 3,000 miles away?
Well, that was the kind of the word I was looking for. There was an editorial board that interviewed candidates for political positions, and that if you don't have that local paper, you don't have that editorial board. So, I mean, is that something that Nowhere News is going to be involved in? Are you going, during the election?
At this time, we're not going to get involved in opinion, because really our mission is straight facts. Down the road with the local, because you say that's such an important part, we'll probably talk about that. But for right now, no.
Going to be involved in our election coverage here? I mean,
Oh,
feel
yes,
free.
in the election coverage, yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, glad to have you.
Okay. So again, Maureen, how does someone subscribe?
www.tcbrief.com. That's it. Just go there.
tcbrief.com. Okay, nice.
And they will find you.
and then they can email you if they've got story ideas or thoughts or comments. And what's your email?
My email is maureen at nowhere with a K, KNOWHERE.ai.
Is there a website associated with it at this point?
Yes, the website. You'll get to the website when you get to TC Brief. Right now, we're putting up a calendar, but that's one of the works in progress. Right now, we have the archive of the newsletters. We have a breaking news timeline, but we don't have a website like you can think about it.
All right. And then all the governmental agencies, have you made those relationships? Do the governments and the associations know about the newsletter to the point where they can send you email or press releases? Are you starting to get press releases now?
Yes, and this is a one-on-one kind of getting it done over time. So.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Maureen, incredible work. I'm excited. I'm excited about having an outlet to tell some of our stories too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep. So real quickly, in closing, as we kind of close in here, I'm going to go back just to Dr. Rochelle Tatro one more time, and just as we close, Rochelle, give us a brief overview of holistic health on the go, and how does somebody find out more about you and make an appointment and.
Absolutely. And by the way, Maureen, I'd love to be on that email list.
Awesome.
I like
Look
that.
at there. There's another subscriber right there.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
Yes, I may have given my actual email earlier, which is fine, but my website is Holistic Health on the Go, and that's holistic, HOLISTIC. There is no W in that. So holistichealthonthego.com. And my number, the best contact number is 772-626-6419. And you can either call or text, and I will respond. And I love questions, and there's a lot to be learned with Eastern medicine, and I plan to do a lot of workshops in the future.
And again, it's more than just your procedures. You've got herbs, and you have recommendations, and you can give folks advice on the
Absolutely.
use of those herbs. And
I always like to call it ancient wisdom with modern research, because there's so much research backing us up. So.
that sounds like that may
That's
be
very
the same
cool.
thing. That may be the same thing Maureen needs to use.
Time for a trademark.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ancient wisdom from the paper and new technology. I like it.
Yes.
All right. Thank you both for taking time out this
Thank
evening.
you.
Great stories from both of you. And I thank you guys for listening to us and tuning into Small Biz Florida and this segment of Small Biz Florida from the Florida SBDC at Indian River State College. Again, thank our guest again this evening, Maureen and Dr. Tatro, for joining us. And remind everyone that all the business assistance programs and resources discussed on this segment are available through Indian River State College's Dan K. Richardson Entrepreneurship Development Institute and the Florida SBDC at IRSC. For more information on the Florida SBDC, its programs, and a complete listing of upcoming business training events, you can go to that irscbiz.com. And as always, thank our partners here at WPSL and WSTU and our Small Biz Florida producer, Miss Katie Muldoon. With that, we'll talk to you next week on Small Biz Florida.
You've been listening to Small Biz Florida, a.k.a. Startup Talk, on WPSL, Port St. Lucie, WSTU Stewart, Martin County's Heritage Station. And don't forget, this will re-air on Monday at 11 on WSTU.